way to Land Between the Lakes. We are smack dab in the middle of the COVID-19 stay-at-home order in Tennessee. I do think I'm actually going to get rained on. The weather forecast is for a gorgeous day with no chance of rain, and I can already feel it hitting, and it's so overcast. I think I'm going to get rained on. So I am at Land Between the Lakes, and we're in a statewide stay-at-home order. So why am I out hiking? Well, because the governor's order states that exemptions are provided for outdoor activities. Stay at home doesn't mean stay at home. It means avoid unneeded contact. You know, try to limit your interactions. So, as you can see, I'm limiting my interactions to nobody. So, I'm out hiking at the Fort Henry Trails, and I saw 2 trucks at the trailhead. One guy's got a bicycle, but I haven't seen anybody. So I'm headed to my favorite spot, and I'm going to see if there's anybody else that had the same idea as me. Of course, if somebody's there, there's a couple other spots near here, and I'm going to set up, do an overnight, try out some new gear, and try to have a decent night. So let's get there and get set up. Ooh. Am I in luck? Oh. The water is high. No. Wow. The water level is crazy high. This is where I camp all the time. Usually I'm set up between these 2 trees right here, and the water level is way down there. But as you see, I've never been out here when the water level was all the way up here. This is really, really high. This is creepy. This is kind of creeping me out a little bit because, yeah, I set up right here, and you know, the last time I was here, there's the log I set up on. I had a fire ring. It was a nice little fire ring too. I usually cut wood. There's a big drop off over here. Yeah, I went down there. I was all the way down in there. Like down in here is a big flatland. So high up. And my wife always sets her tent right in the middle where that water is. All right, well, somebody tried to make a bridge. Surely somebody didn't try to cross that. That's just dumb. Now this is actually a better route. Let's see if there's anybody camping up here. Well, I found a spot. I'm not far down from where I was before. I'm actually over that way. So, or I was originally over there. I just came over a couple of yards, maybe 10, 15 yards. And you can see this is much higher up, a little bit more elevation. The water level is still really high. So, I mean, usually there's a beach down there. So there's a lot more room. You know, and it's a gravel beach, but yeah, the water level is really, really high. So, did I say it was high? So I got my fire going. This one is it's kind of an established camp, I guess. There's these posts, but there's no board. I really think somebody probably just took the board and ended up probably just burn it. Yeah, I didn't do that. That wasn't me. There's a fire ring over there, or yeah, there's a grill ring over there, but it's full of trash. But then, you know, there's a nice little fire pit ring that was built up. So I cut some wood, and I've got it going. I'm just throwing wood on it now. It's a lot of damp, and you can hear it just hissing. But I'm just throwing it on there to get some good coals burning. And once I get a good bed of coals, yeah, it'll be fine. There's some light sprinkles, but not like even sprinkles, just a couple of drops here and there, and it's really overcast. But it looks like it's really bright out, but it's actually the sun's starting to set. My janky tarp set up. So this is the first time I've ever set up my tarp. So this is the Warbonnet Superfly, and do not judge Warbonnet by how I set this up, because this is, yeah, it's crooked. I have some old snake skins on the end that I'm trying to work into the setup. The trees are a little bit close, but really I was trying to get somewhere up high and somewhere quick where I could get everything set up. Inside I've got my Warbonnet Blackbird with a Wookiee underquilt. It's going to get down to 49 degrees, which is not really cold. But it's a 20-degree underquilt, so it might be overdoing it a little bit, but I've never used it either. That's something new for me to try out. So if I go inside, and I don't know how well you can see, again, I don't have, you know, I've got the tie outs out here, but I haven't really set it up. Usually what I want to do is I want to just cut some limbs that are long enough to kind of create an arch over the top. But there's my setup with the hammock and the Wookiee up underneath. I haven't slept in it yet. I've also got a 20-degree bag, which I'm probably just going to throw on top of me as a top quilt. And so this is set. I'm pretty decent here. So I think what I'm going to do is I've got plenty of water close by. I don't hike in water. I filter it. So I'm going to get my filter, or get my bag, my CNOC bag, fill it up, and get some water set up. I also bring a couple of little smart water bottles or life water bottles with Gatorade powder. So it's really light and it's already measured. So all I got to do is throw water in it, and I've got Gatorade. But yeah, I mean, the water doesn't look really bad. It's clear. I don't know how well that's going to show up on the camera, but you know, the water's got good visibility. There's not a lot of mud over here because this is all gravel, and it goes out pretty far, probably a good 20 yards of a gravel shelf. So this water will be all right. And I'll filter it off and get something to drink and sit down and relax a little bit. Maybe get a little bit more wood here in a few minutes. So I bring everything inside this Nalgene bottle because everything kind of fits in there and it doesn't get crushed. And I use the C-Knock bag for my dirty bag, and I just hang it up. I can never get the knot untied. Fish. So what I was saying, so I said, you know, everybody's on, Tennessee is on a, they call it safer at home policy, which, you know, it's, all in all, it's not a bad policy. There's nothing wrong with staying at home, but, you know, the rules do specifically apply an exclusion because it's not about staying at home. Your home isn't magically safe. And I'm not an expert, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, your home is not magically safe from viruses. But you have less of a possibility of exposure if you're at home. And I get that. But since I've been out here, I saw one person at the trailhead sitting in his truck, and we had no interaction. There was a truck that came down the logging road there that I walked in on, and they came up, and I guess they were looking at the same site. And when they saw the site, they just turned it around and hightailed it back out. I don't know if they were camping or hunting. It is turkey season, and yeah, turkey season's open. So yeah, I put all this on there. Let's see. Okay. Now I keep my Nalgene bottle clean, and the hose and everything. Everything is clean. I won't put anything in there until I'm ready to camp out, to pack out. So bring this down. Still no better. So, so the stay-at-home order, I'm not violating anything. It is a mandatory stay-at-home, but like I said, there are many exceptions, and getting outdoor activities are one of the exceptions. Several of the exceptions. Golf courses are open. You can go play golf. So it's kind of funny the way that's working out, I guess. But like I said, the established, the larger campgrounds are closed. The larger parks in Tennessee are closed. You can't do anything there. But you know, I disperse camp, so I'm out here. You know, there's nobody out here except me. So you know, that's what works in my favor, I guess, out here, and why I really don't have a problem with coming out here. If anybody else wants to come out and find them a spot, you know, that's one of the great things about Land Between the Lakes, is that you can camp just about anywhere you want out here, except for the established campgrounds have a fee. You can't camp in the cemeteries, and there are a lot of cemeteries out here. you can't camp on the roads or near the roads. You got to camp off of them and off the trails. But I'd say 95% of land between the lakes out here you can camp in. All along the shore you can camp. So this is a great place to really come out and find camping. All right, let's make some Gatorade. So I got a nice little bed of coals going. Take this thing off. Oh, there we go. Oh, that's it. That's good. That's good. Drug the log I was chopping wood on earlier. Drug it over. The best thing about camping, and I don't understand, so I watch a lot of the backpacking videos and a lot of the guys that are out there and girls that are doing, Survival Lily, Mike from TA Outdoors, of course, Joe Robinette, Syntax 77, and some of them are building campfires, but a lot of them just backpack, and they go in the woods and they put on a lot of miles, and I never see them with a campfire, and I can't camp without a campfire. That's just, that's like priority number 3. I need to get my house set up. I need to get some water, and I need to get a fire going, and then I'll eat. But I'm also packing a lot more weight. I came out with, I think, 25 pounds. I brought way more food than I'll ever need. So I packed out a lot of weight because I bring a Grand First Brook forester's axe, small forester's axe, because if I'm going to process wood, that's just, there's no better way to do it. I had a $20 Fiskars, and it was good. It's a good little hatchet. It processes wood just fine, but for processing wood faster and more efficiently, the Grand First Brook, I can cut through a tree if I need to. I've also got a silky saw that I bring, so there's a lot of weight right there that I notice that a lot of the lighter weight backpackers don't bring. I bring a camp stove because I want to boil water. I want to make coffee, and I bring that to boil water quickly. But I'm not I guess I'm not a hiker. I'm kind of a hybrid. I'm not a bushcrafter, not purely, because I bring a lot of modern conveniences. I'm bringing my hammock. I'm not sleeping under just a tarp. So I'm not a pure bushcrafter. Bushcrafters like to use things that don't wear out. I bring a lighter. I started this fire with a lighter because I just couldn't get my fire steel. The first time I've never been able to get my fire steel to do anything, and I just couldn't get anything to catch. Maybe I was impatient, but so anyway, I'm not a pure bushcrafter, not by any means. But I'm also not just a pure backpacker either. I like to camp. So I like to camp with, I try to bring comfortable, but not everything. I'm not bringing a bunch of stuff. I got a lightweight chair. This is amazing, by the way. But I'm not bringing a whole lot of nonsense. Everything has got a purpose, I guess. Oh, that's about right. So, if you're going to go camping and backpacking, this collapsible bellows, it's cheap. It costs next to nothing. I think I paid $11 and got 2 of them, because I don't know that you can get one. It's cheaper just to buy 2. It's actually cheaper to buy like 6, but because they are dirt cheap. It's like a car antenna almost, and for adding some air to really get that fire hot, it's just great. I gotta get something to eat. I did bring a steak, and I always bring my little grill. Again, I bring some conveniences. I don't bring a billy can. I used to have a billy can. I got a Zebra that I just don't bring anymore. It's so bulky, and that's really where I guess my weight. I don't worry about weight. I worry about bulk. That's my real issue. Is I have a 50-liter pack, so bulk tends to be my nemesis. So I try to keep things. You know, it's okay if it's heavy. I don't mind the weight as much as I do the bulkiness. Good morning. I don't know what time it is. All I know is if you hear it, you might be able to hear that truck. I woke up at 6 o'clock this morning. I thought I wasn't even going to be able to film anything. I woke up at 6 o'clock this morning. I'm here at a spot that has obviously been camped at before, but it's not a designated camping spot. You know, it's just at the end of a logging road. And I wake up 6 o'clock, two jackasses drive their truck, come right down this road, park right next to where I got my water set up. Everything's set out. I'm camped right there, and I'll be damned if they didn't come over here and just set up chairs and buckets and coolers and sit out here and start fishing, talking on the phones, making racket. Now, I'm not a shy guy. I'm not rude either, though. But I came out here and I told them, I said, you know, I wake up because now I can't sleep because there's somebody in my camp. You know, and I just thought it was rude. So, you know, I get up, they wave like we're all friends over here. And, you know, they wave, and I told them, I said, there's 300 miles of shoreline at land between the lakes. There's 170,000 acres, 300 miles of shoreline. And they set up on top of me, and I told him, I said, you set up right on top of me? Why? And he said, well, it ain't your campsite, it's land between the lakes is land. I said, well, it ain't your fishing site either, it's land between the lakes is land. I said, you know, I was here first. He goes, well, we didn't see you. I said, yeah, it's kind of hard to miss. You know, you see the campfire and everything set up around it. You know, there's no way he missed it. So, you know, and it's like, well, you may not have seen me when you came down the road, but when you do see me, when you get down here at the end and you see that there's somebody here already camped out, you don't just decide, hey, this is where I'm going to fish. That's rude. That's inconsiderate. That's not how this park works and operates, and I've never had anything like that happen before. I had people come by yesterday on the road over there, and I think they heard me setting up, and they turned around and went somewhere else. You know, there's literally you know, 170,000 acres out here to play with, and 300 miles. You could, you know, it would take you, you know, it would take you, you know, the better part of a month probably to walk the shoreline here, and all the areas that you could possibly go to fish. To set up on top of somebody who's obviously out here, I mean, it's pretty remote. There's, you know, there's nothing else out here. It's not like there's other campsites next to it or anything. I just ain't never had nothing like that happen. So it's funny, one of the reasons I come out to land between the lakes is to get away from that kind of a thing where I have people sitting next to me, and you know, I'm kind of on my own. I can do what I want. I'm not gonna lie, I do it because I can get up in the morning and not have to worry about putting on pants. I can come out here, stoke the fire up, and then go put on pants. I'm in no hurry because there ain't nobody out here, and if they can't see. So it was a little disappointing. I was about ready to pack up and go, and then they finally, after about an hour, they decided that, I guess they had mean mugged me enough, and I guess they decided that they was going to go on their way. So now they're headed out, and I just finished breakfast. I got up, made some coffee, got the fire going, finished breakfast, got a little bit of a fire going, not a really big fire. I didn't have a whole lot of wood left over, so I kind of burnt what I got. But I don't think I'm going to make a really, I don't think I'm really going to keep it going for much longer. I think I'm just going to relax a little bit, clean up slowly as I go, and then get everything packed up. But that's the plan. But let's talk about how it went. I mean, you know, I'm only about a quarter of a mile from the trailhead, so I'm not that far out in the boonies or anything. I am a disorganized camper, let's just say that. And so last night I got up, and you know, I got up and I went to get out, and I had my pants there, and I've got my little body glove shoes that I keep for walking around camp at night. And because they pack easy and they can get wet and they dry quick. Well, I woke up, stepped down, and went to stand up. And when I did, the belt, the tab on my belt, that little pokey part on my belt buckle, stabbed me right in the bottom of the foot. So I'm scrambling. I know where my first aid kit is. I know where my pack is. So I grabbed my first aid kit. I put a Band-Aid on my foot. And but yeah, it's bruised. It's definitely bruised. And it was dumb because it's just because I have stuff laying everywhere. It was dark. I didn't feel like it. I just threw everything up underneath. But let's look at what I got. I'm kind of like a half-ass suspension right now. You know, I'm using 550 cord. I do have some Zing It right here that I'm slowly starting to add on to. I've added it on the pullouts. But again, I've got my War Bonnet super tarp, and I put it inside my little snake skins. You know, a lot of people have talked about a continuous ridge line versus just tying the ends out. I think I might just end up doing tying the ends out thing. It doesn't seem to be a different. This is a lot of extra cord, and I don't know what it's going to add for me. Maybe if it were really windy, it would add some stability, but you know, it's not really, I'm not really tying anything to it because I'm tying it to this. So the things I did wrong, well, number one, I tried to use this 550 cord, and they're right. It stretches, it pulls. It didn't really give me a lot of height, that's for certain, and I slung it way low. So when I'm in there, I'm bending over. I don't like to bend over when I'm trying to get undressed and I'm trying to work. I also didn't have a really good setup for porch mode. So I wasn't even trying to do that. But I'm thinking in the end, I'll just use these little mini beaners and then just tie it off to a tree on each end. Because I'm also trying to figure out, well, what do I do with the ridge line? Do I just leave it? I don't know. I'll work it out. I don't want to sling it under the ridge line either. I mean, I guess I could do that, but I don't see the point in that either. Not really well. I don't see the point. So I don't know. I'm still working with how I want to suspend it. I do like to use toggles at the ends. I use a lot of wood toggles. I did get it down almost to the ground, and it did provide a lot of coverage, maybe more than what it needed for this weather. So I'm thinking maybe next time, sling it a little bit. Well, I'll sling it higher so at least I can get up underneath of it, pitch it out a little bit further. And then I was using ties. I tied to everything I could find for the pullouts. The pullouts are just a necessity. When I got in there, you know, I was just me against the tent. You know, I was against the tarp and I was against the hammock, and it was just really crowded, and I didn't like that. But the pullouts definitely saved the day. Those were the big champions. So my War Bonnet XLC with the Wookie, and then I just have a Kelty Cosmic 20-degree bag that I've always used. And the War Bonnet, the War Bonnet is a nice, comfortable hammock to begin with. You know, I was in a straight double hammock, just off the brand, and it was fine. But this is really a great hammock. I like how easy it is to set up. Setting it up with the straps and the buckles, I'm still working on that and getting the right height and angle and everything. I know 30 degrees, but you know, when you're standing here and the ground's not level and the trees are wonky, it's really hard to gauge 30 degrees. You know, when I stood back from this and I looked at it, you know, let's take a look at my wonderful view. But let's look back at that continuous ridge line. I'm telling you, that continuous ridge line is crooked as a country highway. When I looked at my my tent setup, there's definitely a downhill pitch because this tree's lower than that one, and I didn't, you know, I tried to account for the height, but I was way off. So yeah, it definitely had a downhill pitch to it. But the hammock itself is okay to set up with the straps. It's not bad. It's pretty easy. I added some Dutch gear because I don't do like everything's got to be a titanium clip, but these are amazing because I pulled it off and adjusted it on the tree probably 3-4 times. So I was going up and down the tree, and this just makes it really easy to adjust those ends individually and to put them on without having to loop them through, you know, feed it through the hole and loop it around. You know, that's a pain in the butt. So the hammock laid well. The shelf did great. As you can see, I've got my phone, I've got my little pill case, you know, I got a hat. You know, I just keep a bunch of junk in there. The Wookiee is super warm. It's really nice. It was not too warm. I think we were in the 50s, the low 50s to mid 50s. It was like 56 when I checked this morning. So, you know, at 5 o'clock. So it's not really super cold, but I stayed comfortable. I stayed very comfortable with the Wookiee under quilt. And yes, I got mine made to match my hammock. And it laid. For the first time putting it up, it goes on just like they say. You hook it on one end, you clip it on the other, it goes on that fast. So it's a quick setup. It doesn't take up a lot of bulk. I'm a no bulk guy. I hate bulk. Weight doesn't bother me. It's the bulk. I need space. So I got her set up, climbed in. I used my 20-degree Kelty Cosmic as like an overquilt. I just turned it upside down and stuck my feet in the bottom, and that was great. I was out. I did not wake up until about 5:30 this morning when I had to go to the bathroom, and I was out probably for 7 hours, at least 7 hours, before I even began to move a little bit, and never was uncomfortable. Now, I slept in this a couple of months ago, and it was colder. It was down in the 30s. And I used a pad. I used a Thermarest. It's a very good pad for ground sleeping, but it's just too narrow for this, and my shoulders froze to death, and I did not do well with it. Okay, I hated it with a ground pad, so that's when I got the Wookiee, and I'm happy with it. I mean, good job, War Bonnet. It's everything you say it is. I didn't have to adjust it. I didn't have to move it around. I didn't have to move around. And I got such a really good lay on that I think I pretty much was rolling over in my sleep. I tend to roll side to side, and I'm pretty sure that's what I was doing, was rolling side to side in my sleep on there. And I woke up this morning, and I was grouchy as I could be with those guys that came up, which, again, it was rude. That you just don't come up to somebody else's campsite who's obviously camped, and, you know, and I've got the fire pit, and then come over here and literally, I mean, you know, my view eating breakfast was looking at their redneck asses sitting in chairs throwing lines out because they just sat right there in front of me, and it's not, you know, it's not 15 feet. You know, this is it. Could have gone down on that end, could have stayed over there. You know, it's a little shallower. You know, beat some of the grass down, do a little bit of work, but don't come over here because this is where I've set up. You know, sure, I don't own the land, but I own the right. You know, we all do. If you've got a right to use that land, you've got a right to it, just as anybody else does. And you have a right to expect that other people are going to not be rude and just climb up on top of you, especially right now where the only reason we can come out here and go hike is that, you know, it's expected that we're going to maintain social distance. You know, granted, those guys stayed 6 feet away from me, but they weren't 6 feet away from each other. So, well, there's my little gripe for it. I did get word last night that Tennessee state parks are shutting down, like all Tennessee state parks. However, Land Between the Lakes is different. It's owned by the, I think it's run by the U.S. Forestry Service. I am not savvy on all of these departments. So it falls under a different thing. This is a national recreation area, an NRA. So it's not, it's kind of like a state park, but it's kind of not. So when the Tennessee state parks close down, that doesn't mean LBL closes down. LBL also brackets two states, so it's between Tennessee and Kentucky. So, you know, they can fight over jurisdiction for that. All I know is I read all the rules. The trails are open. These specific trails are open. Some are closed. You know, it says that basic camping. Basic camping was open until a couple of days ago, but they've shut down all the basic camping areas, the self-serve camping areas, but dispersed camping has not been mentioned at all as being closed yet. So, you know, they don't list what you can do, they list what you can't do, and dispersed camping hasn't been excluded from the list of activities yet. So that's where we are. Let me see if I can get a little bit more of the camp set up or torn down and wrapped up. Again, I'm in no hurry, so I'm just going to slow it. You know, I'm going to slow walk this and take everything down little by little, piece by piece, and just enjoy my morning. So this is what my neighbors do right there. So when people just come out here and they're just, you know, they're inconsiderate, they're rude, and then they just leave trash. I don't, it's exactly what's wrong with people. They come out here, they leave trash, and leave a big Duke right on the other side of my camp, because that's right where they were parked. Bunch of jackasses. So let's talk about the difference between a review and an overview. This is one of my pet peeves. I read a lot of reviews online before I buy gear, and I want to watch the videos of the gear and see what people using it really thought of the gear. People aren't doing reviews, they're doing overviews. This is a guy sitting there talking about a piece of gear he just bought and telling you all the features, whether it's a pack, a hammock, an underquilt, a chair. They just talk about, this is what it does, this is what it has, which is a neat feature. I don't care. I know what the features are. I can read the website. I want to talk about, that's just an overview. I want to talk about a review. What did you think about it? So nobody's paying. This is my gear. This is the stuff that I'm using. And I think that's part of the problem is a lot of times some of the guys, they're making a living, I get it. But they're reviewing products that people have sent to them. And, you know, how many times can you, how many different hammocks are you going to use? You know, so you talk about the product and endorse it, but, you know, how much did you really use it? And if you did, that's fine. Just tell me how it felt when you used it. I don't need to know about the details and the specs. But let's talk about the REI FlexLite chair, or FlexLite Air chair. We got these, my wife and I did, and I've used the snot out of this thing. And it's great because it's super lightweight, and you can find cheaper ones. I'm sure you can find them much cheaper. This was about $100 at REI. You can get them on sale for about $70, I think. It's dividend time. If you were going to upgrade something in your loadout and you felt you were doing good, this would be the thing I would get. I hammock camp, so I find a lot of places that don't have a place for me to sit. You know, this one happened to have a log, but I'm using this to cut wood and as a table. But, you know, a lot of places I go just don't have a chair. I'm not getting any younger. I'll be 50 this year. So having a chair is really important to me. I'm just not, I can't do the squat thing around the fire. My knees won't hold up to that. So I got the chair. Let me say, the chair is nice. I like the chair. It's comfortable. It takes a little getting used to. When you first sit in it, it can be a little bit wonky. So sitting in it, well, number one, you just can't plop down in it. You can kind of, but you got to kind of balance on all four legs. You can feel it shift. It's not, you know, it's not firm and stable, but it's strong. That's the thing. And I kind of lean back and put my feet out at the same time, so I'm kind of balancing my weight. If you shift one side to the other or too far forward or back, you put all the weight on one pair of legs or even one leg, and you'll just fall over, or even worse, you'll just sink into the ground. So this is nice and comfortable. My butt fits in there really good. I've never had a problem. I've heard somebody made an underquilt for their chair. I've never been that cold. Okay, if I'm that cold, I'll just stand up. I've never been so cold though or out in weather so cold that my chair worked like a little mini hammock and I was freezing my butt off, literally. So this is nice. It's relaxing. It's comfortable. I can pull my legs in. I can stretch them out, cross them up. You know, you do kind of have to stay balanced. You can't just sling over to one side, you know, too far to one side or the other. So you do kind of balance it, but after a while, you just kind of instinctively fall into a nice little comfortable position that you like. And like I said, you can get a little rock. It'll take a little bit of rocking, you know, and that's nice and calm and soothing when people come into your camp at 6 o'clock in the morning and set up next to your fire. And I'm not letting that go. So they took a poo on the edge of the camp. Go walk 200 steps and take a poo. Walk 100 if you can't do that. But don't take a poo right there. My goodness. What is wrong? And then leave the toilet paper. Poo in a bag. Take it with you. You're in a truck. Throw it in the back. Stop at McDonald's out here on the freeway and throw it in their trash can. Yeah. All right, don't throw it in the McDonald's trash can. I'm going to get calls. McDonald's going to be calling me up. Trash can's full of poo. So this is the chair. So what's my problem with it? This is a review, right? There's got to be something bad. Well, number one, let me show you. My chair takes a beating. I sit too close to the fire, so as you can see, I get a lot of little holes from embers, and so that's not a problem with the chair itself. They didn't do that, I did. So if that bothers you, think about it. I don't have a problem with it. If I need to, I'll just find another cover somewhere. Somebody's going to break the legs at some point. But I don't know, them legs are sturdy. They are stable. Once they pin in, man, that's it. They don't go nowhere. And I was shocked. I was really nervous about it. But my other problem is this. All of these little holes in the ground, the legs are quite stumpy. So when the ground is moist or soft, you'll sink right in. And there's a hole over here somewhere where last night I buried one of the legs completely. I mean completely, and the whole table, the whole chair just went over, because once you bury a leg, that's it. You're going with it. And I just rolled right over. So that's the thing. And then I had to pull the leg out, because I mean it was buried 6 inches in there. So that's what I don't like. Now I don't know if trekking poles would fit on this, like the ends of trekking poles, and I know a lot of them come with extras, or you can buy extras. I don't know if they would fit, but there's got to be something that you can make. If you've got an idea, let me know, because I would be curious to hear it. I'm even thinking about, I don't know what I could bring. Maybe I thought about little plates, but I'm going to slide off the plates. So I don't know. I just don't know. Maybe little cups, so the bottoms of some soda cans that I can just set them in and just sit on top of that, so the soda can bottoms won't sink in, but I also won't just slide the chair out of them. I don't know. But it's a great little chair, and it's handy. It straps onto the outside of my pack, and I think it's worth it. I've definitely gotten my money's worth out of this, and then some. And I don't baby gear. It's held up. So I've taken this to non-camping events where I've just gone somewhere that I needed a chair, and I just wanted, like fireworks displays and stuff, and I just bring the chair because I don't want to sit on the ground. So that's my chair. Consider it. Use your dividend. Use your dividend, definitely, and buy that chair. You'll sit in it in your living room. I've done that too. Well, that's it. I guess we're all packed up. It looks like I do a final police of the grounds. Now, make sure I didn't leave any trash behind. So Land Between the Lakes, you're never going to find a trash-free spot. It's not because of the people necessarily. It's because of the water. The water rises, and it'll wash everything up onto the higher ground, and then when the water recedes, it's all left behind. So anything in this entire lake that ends up in the lake usually at some point ends up along the shoreline here. So fire is completely extinguished. I went through and felt there's no hot coals or anything, and doused it with a whole lot of water. So it's still kind of early. It's probably, I don't know, let me check. It's 9:30 on a Saturday. So I came out here Friday night, camped, and I got the rest of the weekend spend with the wife and the daughter, and get some things done around the house, get some laundry done, We don't have a huge backyard, but we have a decent backyard with a little bit of woods. We only have a half acre. So just a little bit of woods at the very back, and I've identified a couple of trees. So I've got another tarp coming. It was an accident. So I think my wife will end up using the Superfly. I've got a Dream, was it a Dreamweaver 12 coming from UGQ. I'd ordered from UGQ, but then they had shut down production for the coronavirus, and so I was going to cancel the order, and Warbonnet had a sale, so I ordered a Superfly from Warbonnet. Don't regret it. But then UGQ said that they were still working, and that my hammock or my tarp was done and ready to ship. So it's probably going to be home when I get there. So I'll keep that one for me, and then I'll let the wife use the Superfly. She wants to do a hammock setup. She's done tent. She has a little one-person tent. She doesn't like the ground. It's very hard. She don't like it. She likes a soft sleep, so we're going to try out with a hammock and a tarp. But she wants a lot of coverage for the tarp. Land Between the Lakes has coyotes. She's afraid of the coyotes. I keep telling her she's got me. But apparently that is not as comforting as I would like it to be. So we're going to set her up with the Superfly so she has some coverage and a nice tarp with a bug net. And if she really likes it, then we might get her we might look at getting her a Warbonnet or a Chameleon with a top. I think a solid top she would like better. Kind of like a hanging tent thing. So I might set up in the backyard and tweak the tarp setup a bit, because I really wasn't happy with my tarp setup. The tarp was fine. I'm not happy with how I'm setting it up. I was fiddling with it too much. So I'm gonna try and correct that. So till then, I'm almost back to my truck, and we'll get out of Land Between the Lakes. If you've ever considered coming to Land Between the Lakes, please do. I really like Land Between the Lakes for a number of reasons. Number one, you can do anything out here. There's off-roading, there's horseback riding, there's bike riding, trail hiking. You don't have the grand views and vistas like you do at, like South Cumberland or something like that. But there's no ridges, but there is a lot of stuff to see and do. You can hike just about anywhere you want. You can camp just about anywhere you want. 95% of this, 170,000 acres, and you can camp on 95% of it. And if you're backpacking, it's free. Dispersed camping is free at Land Between the Lakes. So you go out like I did, you set up, you camp. That's that easy. Don't set up in a cemetery. There are a lot of cemeteries. But yeah, the rules are pretty laxed. For people that just want to get out and just be outside and rough it. I don't need water. I don't need a toilet. I'll dig a cat hole. But look it up if you're interested and you want to know more about Land Between the Lakes. Ask me. I'll tell you what I know. I come out here quite a bit. And I'll be here the next time too. There she is. Oh, she's dirty. She's going to a car wash. All right. Well, that is a Land Between the Lakes overnighter. I'm ready to get home with something to eat. fishing. I'm still not upset. It was a good camp. I had a good time. The weather's been decent. It rained last night, pretty steady. But overall, don't hate it. So, see you next time at Land Between the Lakes. Oh! Bring a 4-wheel drive. It's kind of ready.